Good morning and welcome to my left ear. I am Carrie Freeman. This is video 96. If you've never been here before, this is a left-leaning political and psychic commentary YouTube channel. And I'm the writer, director, producer. That's what I like to say. It's a good thing to put out into the universe, right? What do I do in my private life? I'm a change agent. I help people change through therapy, through therapeutic hypnosis, and psychic coaching. And if you want to check out any of the videos on those particular things, they're in the description section. And you can just see me talk for about 15 minutes on psychic coaching, therapeutic hypnosis, etc. And I help people with creative issues also. So that's a little bit about me. Contact me below by email with any questions if you want a book. And also there's a mention in the community section, this is just housekeeping, about my book, The Comic's Daughter, and it gives you a link to it. I only have limited amount of books, and I'm not just saying that, it's the truth. So wanted to mention that. And then this Friday, because some of you know that I began a Patreon channel with fun stuff, and I'm teaching runes in detail there, and I'm telling some very entertaining celebrity stories, and I'm actually going to add some stories I have where I have connected to the other side because it happened this past week, and I thought I need to tell people about this is what happens. So here we go. I'm going to go right into what's going on right now. My left ear, and those of you who don't know me, I get information through the left side. Can't explain it. I just get sentences, messages, maybe words. But sometimes I say our, meaning me and my left ear. The big wish for this January 6th hearing about the insurrection was that please focus on the big lie. The big lie has to be exposed, dispelled, and burned to the ground, and they're doing it. So this video is after the second session's hearings, and then the next one will be on Thursday, and I will be back on Friday to talk about it, okay? So I got my wish. They're focusing on the big lie, and I was like, sitting at home. I'm going to get right into something with the runes because I thought you might like it if I just jump to this. I have a lot to talk about today. I just, on intuition, asked the runes while they were in my lap heating up, will Trump go to prison? I just thought, doesn't everybody want to know that? At the very end, I'm going to tell you what my left ear thinks, okay? So I got the rune of Berkana, which has to do with growth. I'm not going to hold up the runes today. If you love the runes, join the Patreon. Sometimes I will hold them up, but not today because I have time constraints. So anyway, this rune, Berkana, fosters growth, both symbolically and actually. And it can be in affairs of the world. It can be in your personal life, but since we're talking about the world and Trump, I'm mentioning it can be in the affairs of the world. It's concerned literally with the flow of beings into a new form, which I simply find fascinating because if Trump were to go to prison, he would morph into a new form in his life, okay? The advice is disperse resistance and then accomplish the work. So the people that would be, indicting, really, they need to get clear about what they're doing because I think we all feel like the hesitancy of the DOJ. We're imagining there's a hesitancy. I think there is because this is precedent breaking. If we indict a president and he ends up being imprisoned, it breaks precedents. It's never happened before. So everything goes slower with something like this legally. And then if you take it all the way to the presidency, then it's really laborious. So it says, accomplish the work for the work, that Garland, the DOJ, must be clear, controlled. The motives must be correct, not from anything emotional. That would be our motives, the DOJ's motives, very clear. And it does say modesty and patience are called for here. Now, I really do think that Merrick Garland has demonstrated that he has a lot of modesty. We wish actually he would talk more. But this is really how he's going to approach it, because this is his way. All right, now we're getting better. Now we're getting deeper. The first rune is always a little warm up. Now, the next rune, which is terribly interesting, and I'm just going to show this one to you. It's unknowable. It's the divine. There's no writing on this rune. It's the blank rune, which is considered unknowable. So it says, the blank rune is the end, and the blank rune is the beginning. All right, so it's the end of Trump and the beginning of restoration. This is my interpretation, my left ears. This rune can actually indicate a death. And there's 2 deaths possibilities in this reading today, which is interesting. And remember, it's not always literal, okay? So I don't want you to get, I just want to make that clear. Portended death, okay. So it may, this is the part you're going to like, it may include some part of your life is over, and that would be Trump. Some part of his life is over. It represents the path of karma. And this karma has to do with the sum total of his actions. All right, you're probably liking this, right? Then the last rune in this reading is breakthrough, transformation day. And it signals a major shift or a breakthrough in the process of self-change. Now, what's interesting here is that Trump is not capable of self-change. He's not built that way. His pathology won't allow that. But if you get imprisoned, that's a radical. You know, that's a radical, because it means the life you have been living is no longer applicable. You can no longer live life in the ordinary way. So there you go. And the breakthrough rune, which also says transformation day, the magnitude of the transformation can be so great, it can portend a death. Can mean a successful conclusion to the passage. And that would be our passage and all that we've been dragged through and are still being dragged through. So this actually does indicate that the runes are saying, yeah, it could be really bad for him. It could be in prison. My left ear has reservations, and I must share that with you. I have never, for a long time, seen him going to prison. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to get exonerated. He can't, because look what's going on right now. He's guilty, guilty, guilty. He gave birth to the insurrection and the coup. You know, he's a very dangerous man. I think there's that possibility, and I was talking to a friend of mine who's very psychic yesterday, just casually on the phone, and we both agreed that as the world is sort of turning on him, he does have his followers, and he's always going to have them, no matter what. But I'm reading about people taking their flags, their Trump signs off their lawn. So he's going to lose that adoration, that love. It's going to make him shrink, and he could get very sick. He could have an episode. His heart, you know, remember the man from Uvalde whose precious wife died. She was a school teacher. And he went home and had a massive heart attack and died. His heart broke. And that kind of thing could possibly happen with Donald Trump. There's a question, is he going to live to this? So, but he is tough, I must say. And I have found in my own life that the people that are meanest live longer. All the people have I lost in my personal life, except for like age-related things like my parents, they were very vulnerable people. They were not hard-hitting, tough people. And hard-hitting, tough people, sometimes even mean people, live longer. All right? All right, so now we're going to move on. I've got one more rune reading that I'm going to do, but I'm going to do a little talking first about this, the second night of the hearings that Democratic Congresswoman from California, Zoe Lofgren, who's quite the veteran, she actually said, not only was there the big lie, there was the big ripoff. She said this near the end of the January 6th committee's second hearing in laying out how the Trump campaign scammed money from supporters over false claims of election fraud. Here are some examples, and it's really outrageous. Perhaps you've heard that Trump and his people came up with they bilked people out of $250 million. I'm going to say it one more time. $250 million. Okay. So the Trump campaign sent millions of emails to the supporters of how they needed to step up to protect election integrity. It's like you couldn't make it up. The money, they said, would go to the official election defense fund, which does not appear to exist. All right? According to testimony. So the fund, which again did not actually exist, misled Trump fans by bilking them out of $250 million. Where's that money? Now, the AG in New York, Tricia, claims she's going to look into it. Now, the Election Defense Fund brought in nothing, another tactic, and the Save America PAC made millions, and that money went to various Trump businesses and special interests. The greatest grifter of all time. And Jason Miller, has to do with, like, you know, the great thing is that the Democrats and the two Republicans on the committee are spending a lot of time talking to Republicans and in Trump's inner circle. So they really can't call it partisan. So these guys are talking. So Jason Miller, a former senior advisor to President Trump's re-election campaign in 2020. I have to stop for a minute. I realize I have a fan on because it's getting really warm, and I hope it doesn't irritate you. Otherwise, I'd just be like sweating. Sorry. He was also a senior communication advisor and chief spokesman for Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. He commented on video, Giuliani was intoxicated following Trump's loss on election night. He told Trump, Jason Miller, not Giuliani, told Trump, we should not go out there and declare mystery. We're not ready. The votes have not been counted. And Trump didn't like that. Attorney, I don't know what his first name is, Stepien, former White House political director. He was not able to appear yesterday. Allegedly, his wife was having a baby. I didn't hear about the result of that. I doubt that she's still in labor, if that's true, but there you go. He didn't show. The video, however, was very damning. But here's what's really weird. I have read since, like this morning, that Stepien is still collecting money from the lie. But he came out on video and said Number one, Trump was very negative on mail-in ballots. He wanted to shut them down. He told his followers only vote on election day, which was a huge mistake. And he defied his staff. And he said that they told him, sir, mail-in ballots are good. They are safe. And he defied them. He defied everybody that gave him advice that he didn't like. That's why everybody fell away. Now there's Bill Stephan. It might be Stephen, but I think it looks like Stephan, former campaign manager. When he told 45 that he had lost, Trump said, "You're wrong." And then Stephan said, he made this statement, not to Trump, he made it to the video. And then he went in a different direction. And I wrote, no kidding. He created the lie. And then a man named Chris Steyerwalt, former Fox News political editor, was fired for, number one, saying that there was no basis in declaring Joe Biden the winner. And then later he declared, oh, I'm sorry, I wrote that wrong. I typed that wrong. I apologize. I just heard it. For saying that there was no basis in declaring Trump the winner. That's just my typing, sorry. Error. And then later he declared Joe R. Biden the winner, and he got fired. So he spoke on video. Did you see that Barr actually had people research the cheating accusations? And he told Trump, there's no suitcases under the voting machines. Those are official ballot boxes that have always been there. Trump rejected Bill Barr's truth. Then a man named Ben Ginsberg, who's actually, I'd never heard of before, but he's actually pretty well known. He's sort of a famous Republican attorney and been that a long time. He was on video saying Trump brought fraud cases about the election and none of them had evidence. You know, my favorite word, evidence. But he did it anyway. And he kept losing and losing and losing. I think I didn't write down the number of cases that Trump lost over the lie, but he just kept losing. And Ben Ginsberg got a call from John Eastman, that crazy attorney who wrote the 7-step plan to overtake the government and prevent the transfer. He's really crooked. But Ben Ginsberg told him to stop talking about the big lie and get himself a great criminal attorney. He said, this is free legal advice, and then he hung up the phone on him and never spoke to him again. Never spoke to John Eastman again. And John Eastman is in a bucket full of legal trouble. Now we're going to get to Merrick Garland in my next runes. I asked, because Merrick Garland is a member of the Federalist Society, and that is the most ultra-conservative, and there's, you know, but a rumor going around that the Federalist Society is actually working very hard to collapse our democracy and make this, you know, the Christian nation, the blah, blah. And Merrick is a member of the Federalist Society. Doesn't mean he's guilty of anything, okay? But I wanted to know. I'm just going to tell you, I went to my left ear on this also, and my answer was no, it's not going to influence what he's going to do. And I have heard enough about him that he's a very rules guy by the law, no loose cannon ever, blah, blah, blah. All right, so this is interesting. The first rune I pulled with this question is Merrick Garland kind of held captive by the Federalist Society, or his feelings about the Federalist Society. And I'm just going to share with you, I got the rune of disruption, which is a little bit like the Tower in Tarot. But here it is. It says change, freedom, invention. I like change and freedom. There's a pressing need to break free from a constricting identification. Now that may be him pulling back a little bit from the Federalist Society because of the position he's in now. Events that seem totally out of our control are at hand. Expect disruption. I think we could all come to that conclusion. Expect disruption. It says relationships may fail. Now that may be opposition from the Federalist Society. Plans may go awry. It just means he's going to be challenged like crazy because this is big news. It advises rely on your inner strength. This is a huge thing for Merrick Garland. Huge. He's taking it all on his shoulders. His life is probably already being threatened. His family, it's really big. When and if he steps forward, and I think he will. It might not be the timing you like, though. That's another thing. So it says stand apart from like-minded people. Your soul's journey cannot be shared. So he's really kind of alone. I mean, he might have his allies and his right hand, but he's kind of alone in this. This journey cannot be shared. But it does carry an element of joy, saying the end is in sight. This is good news for us and all our stress. All right, the next rune has to do with signals. It's the messenger rune. And the key here is receiving message, and it tells Merrick Garland, just listen very carefully. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. You're gonna receive information, even a warning, inside warning that might be like a gift. All right, be aware of all contacts as a source right now. It does say this is a call to a new life, and I think it's a call to Garland's new life, because he's going to go down in history if and when he indicts Trump. I'm only saying when or if because I'm holding on to this idea that Trump may not survive. We'll see. But it tells Garland to explore the depths and the foundations. But a new sense of solidarity surrounds this room. So it bodes success, and it bodes answering my question, is he bound by the Federalists, or does he feel bound by the Federalist Society? I'm thinking not so much. I think he takes a huge oath. He's been a judge, and I believe with his reputation, he holds true to his principles. But he's gotten a lot of slack, and I thought the question was worth it. The final rune here is defense, avertive powers. It says you are tested by this rune. There may be an obstacle, of course, and even a delay may prove beneficial. So other runes talked about a delay, not just this rune. I want to remind you about that. It suggests hold off on making your influence felt, but he's stealth. You know, he's not an aggressive, loud type. He's not a showboat. This rune speaks of the difficulties that can arise from new life. And that new life is Merrick Garland stepping forward out of the shadows almost. Perseverance and foresight are needed. There may be a period of waiting. That could be, what if 45 is hospitalized? We don't know what that period of waiting is about. But the rune does state that through inconvenience and discomfort, growth is promoted. So with these two runes readings I'm doing today, it really does feel like 45 is going to be accountable. Legally. He's accountable right now, but legally is a whole different thing. Now there's a term that we all learned who've been watching called willful blindness. It is a legal term. Joyce Vance discussed it. She's the former U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Alabama from 2009 to the 2017. She's a great MSNBC contributor and professor. And she basically said he was told by experts, Trump was told by numerous experts, you lost, and he did it anyway. Willful blindness. So he's not going to get off by like, I didn't know, nobody told me, I'm crazy. It's not going to happen. And I want to mention, you know, Trump and his people put up like a Twitter. It's like a Twitter, and it's called Truth Social, which is hilarious because it's banning sheeple people. Those are people who follow like sheep. Sheeple people from disagreeing or telling the truth or even mentioning the January 6th committee. It's very autocratic. It's just like Ron DeSantis. Couple of quick mentions, which are not minor, is we're still waiting for gun reform legislation. And there appears that there are some agreements, but for me, they're weak. But I understand that Senator Chris Murphy has to move forward because something has to begin. Something has to start. And like I love this quote by Albert Einstein, nothing changes until something moves. So Chris Murphy is going with this, not because it's great or even good. He's going with it because it's a beginning. Something is moving. All right? They did not, this is what galls me. They did not agree on banning semi-automatic weapons, the AR-15. They did not agree on raising the purchase age to 21. And they did not agree on banning magazines. Did not agree on magazine bans. Better well put. All right, little tidbits. I don't think you have to be intuitive or psychic for this one, but I just want to say it. The Trump family is in chaos and they're becoming alienated from each other. If you saw Jared and Ivanka in their quick, brief testimony, well, they both looked anemic. They both looked medicated, and they both looked like just drawn. And they're young people. They had no energy. A lot of you told me they thought it was funny when I called them adult children of the corn. So if you want to laugh again, you can laugh again. It is a pretty good line. There is a rumor going around. It's a rumor about Ted Cruz and Lauren Boebert. They evidently met while she was a paid escort to discuss her future in politics. And evidently, apparently, or allegedly, they met in a hotel. He got her a lot of money to begin in politics, allegedly. And also, I don't know if you heard this, but reportedly she has had 2 abortions and voted against it in Congress. We don't like her. And I hope she gets kicked to the curb. We got some crazies, and she's one of the crazies. Then finally, Governor Abbott is blocking any investigations into the Uvalde police or the shootings because we believe he just wants to get through the midterms. They put a big wall up, and that'll get broken through. They're clearly, no matter 22 people died, 23 people, they're self-interested. They don't give a flying you know what. All right, so that's a lot. That's a big basket for today. I'm looking at my good evidence, and I think I'm running a little over, so I'm going to save something that deserves a real tell. I mean, it's a real story. I just want to mention very briefly, here's another shopping story, but I'm telling you, I see behaviors. So I go to Ralph's, and I come out, and I put my stuff in the car, and I get in the car, turn on the car, and then everybody's pulling out behind me, driving behind me, and I got into an accident in that lot once, and it wasn't my fault. Someone pulled out and just smashed into my car. She paid for everything, okay? This is the good news. She got out. She didn't argue with me. She paid. So this is a bad parking lot. It's a bad parking lot. So my neck is a little stiff, and I'm turning, and I'm turning, and I'm trying to see, can I get out? Well, now there's a guy who's the shopping cart wrangler, and he's always in and out, and he's wrangling the carts, and he works very hard. He wears a mask, he wears a hat, he wears gloves, very appropriate. So he walked by my car window, and I said, is there any way you can just watch and make sure I can back up without getting hit? I've had accidents. And evidently it was a bad day for him, because he went, I'm not paid to do that. It was really shocking. And then he started explaining, and so I was like, okay, I don't have time for this, and I don't want to yell at him. And I went, I saw the name on his, and I went, okay, Chris, you go away. It's okay, Chris, you go away. I said it just like that. I didn't go off on him, but I was so annoyed. And it took me a while to pull out without getting into an accident. All right, cut to yesterday, 2 days later. All right, so, the next day, I'm at the same Ralph's. You save money if you shop every day. And he's across the way talking to some people that seem to know him. They're like, how are you? And blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, I'm better than I was yesterday. And that was the day that he blew me off. And I went, that's interesting. I wonder if he's referring to that moment. Who knows? All right, now, here's the punchline of the whole story. I went to Ralph's, and there's no golfing, there's no carts. So I see, his name is Chris. I see him rounding up the carts, and so I wait. And he's coming in my direction, and I'm waiting very patiently, and I got sanitizer, and he pushed all the carts into the corner. And I looked, and a woman seemed to find one cart that was just standing there that I had not noticed, and she took it and went inside. And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder where that came from. Well, Chris walks towards me, and he goes, you know, I pulled a cart for you. And I said, I saw it, but I didn't know that was for me. And I saw it too late because she took it. And he just looked me right in the eyes. He knew who he was talking to. And I said, thank you for doing that. And we made peace. I think that's a really cool story. And I think what he did was really cool too. So I was impressed with that. I'm gonna leave you with a quote, because today was so political, by the Lincoln Project, which is a leading pro-democracy organization in the U.S., and it is dedicated, in their own words, to preservation, protection, and defense of democracy. And this was the quote by the Lincoln Project. The nation is at one of the most dangerous moments in history. These revelations, talking about the committee, these revelations will not change the true MAGA believers' minds. I believe that. But will cause them to double and triple down on the big lie, making them more dangerous and perhaps more violent. I think it's really possible, and maybe I should do some runes on that. Every single American needs to decide if they are on the side of the seditionists who tried to tear down a free and fair election, or do they support our republic and its democratic principles? It's a good statement by the Lincoln Project. All right, my friends, that was a lot. Thanks for hanging in. I will be back on Friday, and what did I say about the me teaching the runes on Patreon? That I'm also going to upload a Patreon video on Friday. So there's two things going on, and if you're a member of the Patreon, you'll continue on with my rune lessons and my stories, and it's the fun stuff. So it's only $8 a month. Consider it. All right. Peace and blessings, my friend. Make peace. Make memories. Be good. I'll see you Friday. Okay? Bye-bye. Bye-bye, she said.